Oh, hey friends, thanks for coming back to the channel here. Today I'm going to do a little demonstration on the great James McMurtry song, You Got to Me. This comes from James's 2016 release, Complicated Game. This demo is by request of YouTube viewer Glenn Wilken. Glenn, thanks very much for coming by, checking out the channel, and for your request. I'm always delighted to get them, happy to help out any way I can. So let's jump right in here. This one happens to be in natural tuning, so it's very handy. We don't have to go into some of the other more complicated games. So I'm playing it on a 12 string here in James's live stream performances, which is where I've based my approach on. He usually played it on a 12 string, but sometimes on a 6 string too. So it can go either way. Now, this is one of the, I don't know, maybe 40 James McMurtry songs that uses pretty much the same 4 darn chords, but just in a different sequence and with different timing to make for, each and every one of them is a completely distinctive, unique tune, even though it's using the same shapes. So to that end, I have a link in the description below to my demo how-to thing from a couple of years back on James's use of those changes in natural tuning in many of his songs, so I won't repeat all of that here. Okay, but first thing we're going to do now, also in the description below is a link to my most recent full performance of the song from my live stream back in December of 2023. So you can check out how the whole thing goes together there. All right, so now let's jump in, natural tuning. Let's look at the changes we're going to be using. Let's start first with that introductory phrase because we're going to be using it a lot. Now, this is different from how the G chord is going to be in most of the verses, so this is like maybe the hardest thing your hand's going to have to do on the regular basis in here is switch back and forth. So I'm starting this G chord here with using my second and third fingers on the lowest 2 strings, and I'm leaving my pinky here because I'm going to use that for these notes. This is the 3rd fret on the 2nd string on the B string, and then the 1st fret, and then open, all while holding the G-shaped part down with these 2 fingers on the lowest strings here. So let's run through that. Then you move those 2 fingers over into what would be a C if you put the other finger down here, and you will later. But in this, what is that, kind of a C major 7, I guess? I don't know what the name of the chord is, sorry. It's those 2 fingers right there and everything else open. Let's do that again. And you do a little... So what I'm doing with my right hand there in that little bit is just kind of waving on these 3 strings here. Not putting a lot of force on it. All right, that is, I'm calling that the intro phrase. It is going to also appear in between each chorus and the beginning of the next verse. It will also serve as the outro phrase at the very end of the song. So that's a motif that James comes back to repeatedly during the song. Okay, now let's take a look at the verse structure. For each of the verses in the song, the left-hand work is pretty much exactly the same. Yeah, and the right-hand work is very similar as well. So I'm going to sing the second verse here because the very first verse, he's kind of starting it, to celebrate undying faith, and it's very, very subdued. By the time he gets to the second verse, it's kind of the main line way he's doing it. So let's do that. Now, the changes are those changes in that demo thing that I linked to below. We're doing the G chord this way. 2 fingers here, the first and second finger on the lowest 2 strings, and then your 3rd and your 4th finger on the 3rd fret of the highest 2 strings. Then the next shape in this set is Just moving these two guys over like we did in the intro phrase, except we were using two different fingers. And then the third shape in this sequence that he uses is equivalent to a D. What you do is you leave, again, you're leaving these two guys here all day, pretty much, in this set of changes. And then you move your two fingers, these index and second finger, flip them over. All right, first finger, second fret on the lowest string, second finger, second fret on the G string, the third. Now, if you've played some of the James songs I've demoed and learned them on your own, whatever, you'll know that this is a very, very common set of changes. This is the one he uses again and again. So it's one that it pays to get very comfortable jumping around between those. Okay, so let's go ahead and now I'll just sing the second verse. And they got candlelight and a reggae band, champagne by the bucket load, limos lined up down the curb to take us where we need to go. Need to go somewhere I've been, find the place I lost the trail. Way back then, so long ago, I don't suppose you even know you got to me. Okay, now this is the key jump. There's the jump going from here to there. It's the one you're going to do a lot. But then when you come out of this, don't suppose you even know you got to me. You want to go back to the intro style G, not the main changes kind of G, because you're going to need to do this. So that's kind of a thing you'll have to learn, practice a couple times to be able to go from this to this. Right? Do it enough, it'll become second nature. Okay, the verses are pretty much exactly the same each time. There are 5 verses and he plays these changes the same way in each of them, so I'm not going to go through each verse. But we do need to talk about the transitions from each verse to each chorus, because one of the nifty things about this song is the length of the chorus and what he adds. There's a little bit more each time. The very first time through, after verse 1, all he does is that intro phrase. You got to me. And then he goes into verse 2. All right, the second time on the chorus, when you come out of the D shape, you got to me. Brought all this empty down on top of me. You got to me. All right, it starts with the first phrase that we did in the first chorus, but then it adds just the regular, kind of a regular C chord and a regular D chord. Brought all this empty down on top of me. Back to that intro style G shape that we've been using. That's all he does on the second time, is that one, brought all this empty down on top of me, you got to me. Then it's into the third verse. We dance between the snowflakes falling. And when he gets to the end of that, I've not known quite this feeling since you got to me. Of course, it can be a little bit longer. Brought all this empty down on top of me. I didn't know that we were not to be, but I know a thing or two now. Back to that. Okay, so on the third chorus, he's got you got to me, brought all this empty down on top of me, didn't know that we were not to be, and one time, he says one time, but I know a thing or two now. All right, next verse again, played just the same, the wedding party's raging yet. And when he gets to the end of this one, Tell the driver, just go on and go, and you got to me. Now, this chorus is almost identical to the chorus we just went through. He doesn't add anything to it here. He still does. Brought all this empty down on top of me. I didn't know that we were not to be, but I know a thing or two now. He says that one time, okay? So that's pretty much identical to what we just did. Then we get to the last verse. Paperboy wants to smoke. Leans his bike against the tree, and when he gets to the end of that, standing here in my three-piece suit, standing here just like I am, with my vest unbuttoned, necktie loose, impervious to all abuse. Then he goes back into the intro shape of the G. Brought all this empty down on top of me. And here the line is different, off on the $1,000 Odyssey, but it's metered the same and it's played the same. But I know a thing or two now. I do that 3 times. But I know a thing or two now. Yeah, I know a thing or two now. Alright, so I don't know if James does it only twice when he plays in his live style, but I like to do it 3 times. I go, but I know a thing or two now twice. Yeah, I know a thing or two now to end it, and you go down with your voice there to resolve that. I know a thing or two now. Just do that twice, let it hang. And that's the song. I hope this proves useful to folks. I love this song so much. I love to play it and sing it. It's a crowd pleaser. Folks who come and see me on the streams always love to hear this one. It's just, it paints a picture in your head, you know, and to play it, just brings it even closer. So I hope you get to have that same experience playing it that I do. All right, everybody, thanks so much for coming by. Glenn, thanks again for the request. Keep them coming. And y'all take care, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.